Ted Nugent once said that where we have more armed Americans, we will see less violent crime. Where we have more gun control, we will see more violent crime. We've seen a lot of tragedy over the last few years in the form of mass shootings, gang violence, and just death in general. But what's being done about all of this? Well, of course the government is doing studies on the phenomenon and attempting to put together statistics to try and find out what can be done. And many people would have you believe that those numbers show that more guns means more violence. That's just not true. According to the Brady Campaign, which is a nonprofit organization who fights for heavier gun control, 327 people are shot in the United States every day. Of those 327 people, 117 people are shot and killed, and 210 people survive their injuries. Well, they go even further to say that 90 people are intentionally shot and survive, while 46 people are murdered. Well, already we're seeing something a little weird there. Only a third of that number, that 327, is intentional gun violence. What about the rest of it? You see here that 67 people die from gun suicide. Well, that's not intentional gun violence. One person is killed unintentionally, and 90 are shot unintentionally and survive. So they're adding unintentional shootings to try and puff up their numbers. Well, if more guns means more violence, why are they doing that? You might now be thinking, well, just how many guns are there and how easy is it to get one? See, between 35 and 45% of Americans own at least one weapon. And there are over 444 million weapons in the United States. To put that into a little bit of perspective, the UK has 615,000. China has 49 million. India has 3.7 million. And Russia has 17 million. So of those 5 large countries, the United States has more than 4 of the other countries put together. And just how easy is it to get a weapon? Well, federal requirements are that someone purchasing a firearm must be at least 21 years or older. There are some exceptions for 18-year-olds, but those don't really apply here. The purchaser must submit to a federal background check, and they must register their weapon with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or the ATF. That's federally required. That is every gun purchase in the United States. Now, some states go even further and impose either a waiting period, such as in Florida, of 3 days, or they require some kind of permit, whether it to be open carry or concealed carry. And that is up to each state. Some states go even further and just ban weapons outright. Now, of those people who commit crimes, a study was done in 2004 of inmates who had perpetrated violent crimes that showed most of them stole their weapons or obtained them illegally. In the 13 states with the least gun restrictions, 40% of criminals still stole their weapons or obtained them illegally. Well, they're saying that more gun control will curb gun violence and crime. But almost half of people who committed violent crimes stole their weapons. How does that stop gun crime? And what about those of us who have obtained our firearms legally, such as myself? The Second Amendment is my right to bear arms. It says that I am allowed to own a firearm so that I can protect myself, my family, and my home. See, a linguistic analysis of the Second Amendment, the phrase, "The people have a right to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state." That means that, according to the Constitution, I have a right to own a firearm so that I can protect myself, my family, and my home. This comes from the people who literally wrote the laws of which our country is based on. And you have to remember that these people, our founding fathers, had just finished fighting a war with a tyrannical government trying to tell them what they could do, what they couldn't do, and how to live. If you think about it, the Supreme Court, even, our modern day government, every attempt to ban guns, other than about 2% of them, has been labeled unconstitutional. So that means our Supreme Court, our modern day government, says that as an American citizen, I should be able to own a weapon. Now, I know there's a lot of tragedy, there's a lot of death, and that is terrible. But according to the statistics, it seems more to me that we need more education and more mental health help, rather than just banning guns entirely. If we were to teach people how to handle, how to store, how to use weapons, those accidental deaths would come drastically down. If we were to put more money and more funding into mental health help, and help people before they reach the point where they want to use guns for suicide, we may bring that number down. And if we arm more civilians, arm more citizens, give people the chance to protect themselves, even violent crime may come down. Now, I myself am a staunch proponent of protecting myself and my family. I own a firearm. My wife, who is against guns, even still sat down with me once I purchased my firearm so that I could show her and my stepson how to properly store and handle a weapon. There have been no accidents in my home. But what do you think? If we ban guns entirely, what's to stop people from going out and stealing them from other people, or obtaining them illegally on the black market? What do you think? What do you think we should do? Thank you very much for listening to me speak, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.